Hello, I am Genji, and in this stream, let's show off what I achieved. I made a new build. It turned out pretty decently. It looks really nice, actually. This is all transmog. Died. My skills, my damage and toughness, and my recovery, my stats, you know, low paragon as always. So my gear, an ice cube. So we're gonna go over this. And then we're going to showcase the build. We're going to go over this quickly, too. Because I need this stream to be preferably 15 minutes long. So, let's first get started with what is this build. This is a Chakram build for Shuriken Cloud with a bit of extra. But its main focus of damage is Shuriken Cloud and grenades. So as you can see, my primary and my secondary, my stuff right here. My grenades and my chakram. So I gain my damage from Legacy of Dreams. This is a Legacy of Dreams set. There's no set items. I've got full ancients on with 2 primals, Deathwatch and Burning Axe. Burning Axe of Sancus is the tanky weapon I could use. Doombringer is the damage weapon I can use. If I want more damage, I go Doombringer. But I managed to get a Burning Axe, so I went with Burning Axe. So, as you can see, there's a lot of tankiness here. We've got Stone Gauntlets, we've got Wrath of Clarity, we have Elusive Ring, Ancient Parthan Defenders, Aquila's Caress, and we have the Storm Shield. All of this makes you super tanky. This is a melee oriented build that mainly focuses on being confined. It doesn't move fast. As you can see, I do have Vault on here, Rattling Roll for extra stunning, you know, and then I have Preparation with Focused Mind for discipline recovery. I do have Valley of Death, marked for death for a little extra damage output. I got the Fan of Daggers, Fan of Knives, which get what that does. You know what? Let's start the game in T6. Doesn't really matter. This can do up to Torment 10, I believe, with ease. But, you know, for power level's sake, I always usually enter on T6. So I can do power levels. This build doesn't exactly move fast. So, let's take a look at what Fan of Daggers does. Enemies hit are stunned. More stunning. Rattling Roll for more stun. We got Focused Mind for recovery over time. We've got Grenade with Stun Grenade for more stunning, even more stunning on top of more stunning. Pretty much tons of stuns, right? And then we got Shuriken Cloud. So these are the abilities I'm using. We got Blood Vengeance for more hatred because Chakram Shuriken Cloud deals damage based off max hatred, right? No, that is with Sword of Ill Will. Chakram deals 1.4% increased damage for every point of hatred. They need to buff this to minimum 3%. It's way too weak. I would have to say 5% would be generous, and anything more might be a bit overpowered, but it's just way too weak right now. We have Perfectionist for reduced discipline costs, armor, and resist all. Tankiness. Basically, custom engineer so that our what is this for again? Oh, marked for death will last longer. I used to have spike traps and I used to have caltrops. Caltrops doesn't matter as much, but yeah, I used to have spike traps and caltrops. Custom engineer used to be more useful. This could be replaced if you don't care for marked for death. My marked for death is Valley of Death. Marked an area on the ground, all enemies in the targeted area become marked for death. Meaning all those enemies take increased damage. I could have gone Contagion, but I feel like marked for death was a little better. So yeah, custom engineer can be taken off. This is optional now because I no longer use a bunch of traps. This build used to be more trap oriented. I wanted to try and make a trap build, but yeah, it didn't stay that way. I changed it around to be a bit better. So this could be taken off for, say, Numbing Trap to reduce their damage even further for more tankiness. Could also go, I don't know, can't go Grenadier. I mean, you could go Grenadier. Increase damage of grenades, the explosive size, and that would allow your grenades to explode wider and stun more enemies. Could be good. So Grenadier would be a good option probably for a change. Could also go Tactical Advantage for a bit more movement speed, you know, whenever you vault. Although you're only supposed to vault when you want to stun enemies, so... And as well as when you proc Elusive Ring. You don't want to use it too often like that kind of source. And then we obviously have Awareness because I'm a hardcore character. If you're not hardcore, you could change this for anything. But I'm a hardcore character, you kind of want Awareness. Now granted, this is a tank build. It doesn't die. This is kind of a wasted thing because my health never gets that low. But if I suddenly lag or stop fighting, it's possible to die. So, you know, I just have it as a precaution. So those are the runes, right? 6 minutes on that. Okay. So I'm using the Bottomless Potion of Leech because, you know, I'm going to be using this. It's a 10-minute buff. And this is constantly hitting enemies. And then we've got grenades. Trying to see if I can get it to bounce. See that bounce? That's my Hellcats, which is extra hitting. And we got, you know, Valley of Death. And basically you just hit enemies right in front of you. You basically want to just stand next to your enemies and keep walking around, occasionally vaulting to proc your Elusive Ring. This will proc your Wrath of Clarity. So let's talk about the armor. I went with Leorc's Crown because I want to reduce resource costs even further. I don't know why, really. I don't need it as much. You know, the only thing getting reduced right now is the discipline cost, so I can vault more often, which is helpful. But this could be changed. I don't need all this resource cost, but I don't need cooldown either. So what would I really put in my helm? Life? That's kind of a waste. I don't need XP. So I just went with resource because you don't really need cooldown with this build. None of your things really have a big cooldown that really warrants you running cooldown. And you don't really need more life because you don't really die. Why would you need more life to soak in damage? So I went with this for resource just so that I can vault more often. More vaulting will allow me to get more damage reductions with Elusive Ring. I went with Deathwatch Mantle because you're going to be getting hit a lot. This is a tank build. You're supposed to be getting hit a lot. This gives me a 35% chance to explode with a Fan of Knives for a lot of damage when hit. Stone Gauntlets. Chance getting hit increases your armor, but reduces your movement speed and attack speed. This stacks up to 5 times. Now, obviously, you don't see one skill that actually matters here, right? Which is Vengeance. Any form of Vengeance will give you control immunity. That includes Stone Gauntlets. So I'm getting less movement and attack speed, right? That's wrong. Invigorating Gemstone, is that what it was? Yeah. Invigorating Gemstone, the 25 bonus here. You are immune from control impairing effects. That includes Stone Gauntlets. So I'm getting all the bonuses of this with none of the minuses. Getting that huge armor increase, while not losing movement or attack speed upon getting hit. And then we have Weird Word. Lightning damage has a chance to stun enemies. My stun grenades is lightning damage. That is the only form of lightning damage I have. So literally Weird Word is only for my grenades. And it gives me an additional chance of stunning enemies. So there's a chance they'll get stunned from the grenades itself, and then a chance they'll get stunned from Weird Word. And then I went with Justice Lantern because obviously I'm using a shield and I need more block chance, and this is a shield and sword build. I mean axe, sword, same thing. I went with Hellfire Amulet because you need the extra passive. I have Numbing Trap. So remember that Numbing Trap I was talking about? You could go Numbing Trap, I already have it. It's on my Hellfire. Hellfire just has to be anything really. It doesn't really matter too much, it just needs to be ancient. I went with Aquila's obviously because our primary resource is always going to be above 99%. Literally, you use this and it's still over 90. It's still over 94%.
Need more time.
And literally you can only use it once every 10 minutes, so you're going to get back that discipline really easily. And So literally just, this is a requirement just because like it's guaranteed damage reductions. I went with Hellcat for the extra bouncing. The extra bouncing, I don't care about the damage from grenades. The whole point I went with Hellcat is the extra bounce is just for the extra stun chance. More chances to stun. If it bounces once, let's see if I can get it to bounce again. Come on. Come on. I don't have time for this. There we go. So literally, if it bounces, and if it actually hits, because the odds are these bounces are not going to hit. If it does hit, that's an extra, you know, 30% chance, and then like, I don't know, what is it, 15% chance maybe on the grenade itself, something like that. Like it's extra chances for me to stun enemies. So I went with Hellcat for that. I could have went with attack speed, but I don't care about the belt too much. I went with the extra bounce for extra stun. Pox Fault. This was hard to choose pants, not belt, pants. I went with this because, you know, extra damage to enemies around me. This is supposed to be a more melee build, and, you know, Chakram is melee. This is around me. This is around me. This is around me. This is around me. This is all extra damage per second. It's really helpful to have just a little bit extra damage source on Pox Faults. This is an optional item, you know, but there aren't that many that are really worth grabbing. You know, let's just take a quick look at pants. Like, yeah, there's Death Bargains, which, you know, I'm not going to go over all these items right now. I just don't have time. Death Diggers, primary skills, generate resources, deal 100% additional damage, which we don't care about because we're not focusing on grenade damage. The main focus of this damage is Chakram Shuriken Cloud. That's what this build was supposed to be. I went with Pox Faults just for extra damage output per second. So yeah. So I went with Wrath of Clarity because, you know, this allows my grenades to give a little bit more damage reduction. You know, Storm Shield is the best shield, really. It's also like the only Demon Hunter shield that's really worth grabbing. You know, it's got really good stats. So I went with a lot of talking on shields, and I decided to go with Pox Fault. No, as I try to speak here, I went with Storm Shield because they're just, you know, Wall of Mana is not really worth it. You know, like, I was thinking of grabbing, if I can find it really fast, maybe like Coven's Criterion would be a decent shield for extra damage reduction. Or if you wanted extra damage, you know, there was a shield here. I just don't think I'm looking for it. I don't think I can find it. Yeah, Frieza Deflection, blocking for freezing, which isn't bad, but not ideal, so no. Yeah, oh, here it is. Defenders of Westmarch. Blocks have a chance of summoning a charging wolf that deals 1000% weapon damage to all enemies it passes through. This was a shield I was thinking of going with, or Coven's Criterion. But I went with Storm Shield after talking with someone about, you know, what's the best ideal shield. I went with this one. Obviously, I'm going for Illusionary Boots because, you know, I'm immune to control, sure. This allows me to walk through enemies still. Like, just because you're immune to control and you have Vault for going through enemies, what if you don't want to, like, just have to be forced to vault through an enemy? This allows you to just walk through them. This also makes you immune from jailers, frozen, and, like, many other abilities, right? Because that's all, you know, hindering your movement. This technically makes you immune to hinder effects in a form of way. I mean, I think you can still get frozen, actually. You just can't be jailed. You're immune to jailers. I don't think you're immune to wormholes, which is basically enemies that can teleport you to them. So this just makes you, allow you to walk through enemies, which is really helpful. Burning Axe of Sancus, chance to fight through the pain when enemies hit you. You know, along with this, you know, hitting you effect. This is just extra damage on that. I took off the fire skill damage for 10% more damage because everything is scaled off weapon damage. So the more weapon damage I have, the better. So that's why I went with this. Obviously, I'm going to go Dexterity Gems because this is a Dex build character. Legacy of Dreams, all my items are ancient, so, you know, this doubles. You know, this gives me more damage output, allowing me to do T10 content. Not high enough, really. I want to do a GR80 with this build at one day, but it'll never happen unless they buff my cube. Esoteric Alteration. This is a must-needed item, obviously. You know, 60% non-physical damage reduction is so helpful, and if, which will never happen, if I ever get lower than 50%, I literally get a huge boost in all my resistances. So, Next is Sword of Ill Will. Chakram deals, you know, extra damage. Ancient Parthian Defenders, which allows me to take even less damage for stunned enemies nearby. And then Elusive Ring, which is once again tankiness. This is a tank build. So, as for Paragon, you know, no one cares about these three because you're going to max them out either way. For this, you go max Hatred because you want to increase your damage. You need to get 175 Hatred. Movement speed, you know, obviously I maxed out my movement speed because I need to move faster. And my gear doesn't have movement anywhere. And then obviously all my points go in dex because I need damage. So that's my armor. You know, I went over my armor, I went over my cubes, I went over that, I went over my skills. Let's go over my Templar real quick. Obviously I'm gonna go Enchanting Favor, Thunder Fury, Weird Word, Unity, the S of Johann, and Frieza Deflection, the obvious basis items. I do have another Unity that is Ancient. I can take this off for Weird Word, you know, for 50% more damage reduction. I lose that stunning ability, but if I'm in a group, if I'm playing with other people, and this build is really meant for playing with others, I'm gonna use Weird Word. But if I'm playing solo, I could use Unity. I could use Conventions of the Elements, you know, extra physical damage for 200%, and this is Ancient. This is actually perfect. Oh my god. I just have to remove crit. Oh yeah, also, this build is not a crit build. Why did I go extra damage for 270 on Ruby? This build has not a crit base. So, this build does not focus on crit. The crit chance is 10%, crit damage is 100%. Obviously, I'm getting crit from offense, right? You know, crit damage, crit chance. And you start with 5%. This build does not focus on crit. I made sure to remove crit from as many sources as possible because who cares about crit? This is a damage over time build that basically, you know, if you ever think of dots, they never really do crits. You can't really crit a dot. Once you apply an effect on something like burning, like they're on fire, they're going to take an X damage per second that I don't believe dots have a chance of critting in Diablo. You can't crit with dots on World of Warcraft or any other games, really. So I'm going to assume you can't crit with Chakram. I mean, maybe you can crit with Chakram. It's a buff, really. I consider Chakram like thorns. You stand near me and you get hurt. Although, you know, thorns, you have to hit the target, so. But yeah, Conventions of the Elements, Unity. I mean, let's say I'm playing in a group. I could use this instead of Weird Word for 200% increased damage whenever it goes to physical. Or 200% increased damage when it goes to lightning for my grenades. Because don't forget, my grenades is lightning and my Chakram is physical. These are both good damage sources, especially if my Hellcat bounces 5 times. The bonus is doubled to 800% on the final bounce. Literally, this is just insane extra damage. And obviously, I'm using LOD. So, Weird Word has Invigorating Gemstone. Each hit done increases healing received by X% for 5 seconds, stacking. This allows me to heal through all damage with ease. So that's also another thing. So my healing, my toughness, my damage is the only weakness here. Like, it doesn't have a lot of damage. But I do have other sources. I do have Unity, I do have Conventions, I could increase my damage. I could take off the Burning Axe for Doombringer, which I don't think I have with me anymore. I had an Ancient Doombringer. Yeah, I actually got a Primal Ancient Stone Gauntlets. But I'm not gonna use that. Yeah, I had an Ancient Doombringer, and I must have salvaged it because I had to clean up. So I'm gonna show off this build. We're gonna go on and I have 30. Let's go on and enter a GR100 real quick. We're just gonna enter for like a minute, right? Oh wait, unempower. Don't waste my gold. So look at my health. Look at my toughness. So I'm currently at what, 4.3 billion or something like that. And look, I'm doing no damage. Like, I'm basically blocking. I'm just like, so we're gonna go on and get my discipline back now. So basically, I can consistently have 4.3 with these. But this is basically what happens. You know, you don't kill anything. So we're gonna go on an exit. So you take discipline, right? Yeah, Marked for Death does take discipline. Vaulting does take discipline. Everything's becoming a reduced cost. And you see my toughness. It goes up quite a bit. So that's what I look like in a GR 100. My health pool basically never moves. It might move to like 98% every so often. Just because I'm getting hit by everything at the exact same time. But otherwise, I don't get hurt. So let's show off this build in a Torment 10. Which is, I believe, what this build can handle right now, damage-wise. We're just going to enter a Rift. We're not going to finish it. As I said, I'm going to keep this video, like, preferably under 15 minutes. It's already been 20. It's fine. Let's go on and enter this and show the damage off real quick.
I wish you luck, hero.
Yeah, look at this damage. I can just stand here and literally, like, just get hit without even worrying about anything. So I slowly burn. So you do want to move towards the enemy. So you see here, I'm just going to stand here and just, like, let them hit me. I'm not even going to use my vault. I'm just going to slowly burn them down. And grab these items right here. And there we go. See, T10 with ease. That was actually not hard at all. It did take a few seconds to kill that elite, but I murdered it with ease. And we got a Poxfold. Let me check that out. Or Death Diggers. Dude, pretty sure it's Poxfold. Yeah, it's Poxfold. Yeah. So that's the damage, and as you can see, I vault into an enemy. I go on and place my Marked for Death, and then I just instantly start spamming. I use my Chakram as soon as I enter a Rift, or as soon as the duration goes down from 10 minutes to 0 minutes. And every so often, I'll use my Fan of Knives for extra stunning. You know, I can vault again to stun more enemies, and then vault back to stand back on here, because you want to stand on your marked area for, you know, increased damage. You know, if my discipline ever gets too low, I have preparation, which, as I said, this build doesn't have a lot of cooldown either, so my cooldown's 25%, so, you know, I have to wait a long time for prep. But I have a lot of reduced costs, so my vault does not cost much, my Marked for Death does not cost much. My Marked for Death probably costs 2 discipline. My vault probably costs like 6 discipline. Like, what's my current discipline? Let's see, discipline cost reduction, almost 50%. Yeah, this is 2 discipline, and this is like 5 discipline probably. It's really low, like it doesn't cost much, and I have 30. So that's this build. I wanted to do a quick show of it, and hope y'all enjoyed watching this preferably short video. Obviously, you saw monk gear. I did try the new monk set. I will say that real quick. And here's my, obviously my good build, Shadow Impale. But yeah, I wanted to make a new build. See, can I show the transmogs here? Let's see. So as for the transmogs, I'm using Lachadana Storm Shield. You get this in Act 1 from Leoric's Manor. I'm using King Blade, which I forget where this is from. You just find this, I think, eventually. You probably get it from somewhere though, but King's Blade. And then I'm using the Purity die for that wider color. And then I'm using the Bone Weave set. Epaulets, Bone Weave gauntlets, the plated helm, which isn't Bone Weave, I believe. And then we've got Bone Weave folds and then treads. You know, the helm is the only thing not Bone Weave. I try to make it look a bit, you know, more here. Oh, no, go here. Go here. So I try to make it look a bit, you know, pretty cool, pretty shiny, you know, match the shield, match the weapon, you know, everything looks good, right? You know, I don't really care about looks too much, but if I make a new build, I try to make it work. And everything here looks good. It actually looks like he's all thorny too. If you look around here, around his shoulders, like it looks like he's just thorns everywhere, and you know, hitting this is basically going to hit you. So that's this build. Thank you all for watching. 25-minute video. Sorry for that. I just wanted to quickly show off the build. Oh, CK's on. But that is it. And Have a good one, and I'll see you at the next season. Maybe.